balloons, bazookas, boobies, bosoms, boulders, cans, hooters, knockers, melons, honkers, jugs, rack, tatas, tits, torpedoes, guns, bust, doorknobs, coconuts, and our favorite one, the girls. Welcome to the All About Breastfeeding show, where your host, Lori, highlights mothers just like yourself and goes beyond the surface questions and digs deep so they share not only their joys and happiness in their daily breastfeeding life, but also their pain and struggles and how they worked through them.
Episode number 124. Welcome to All About Breastfeeding, the place where the girls hang out. I am your host, Lori Jill Eisenstadt, IBCLC, which stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant. I have two announcements before we start. As some of you know, I have a private practice here in Phoenix, Arizona. I see moms on an individual basis and help them with breastfeeding challenges. I also teach breastfeeding classes and offer Skype prenatal consults, as well as offer a breastfeeding online support group. Over the years, I've made changes to my business. I like to think that I evolve. I listen to feedback from the moms that I work with and make changes that I think will improve the services that I offer. I'm very excited now to unveil the first phase of some new services that I am now offering. These changes are based on feedback I have received and requests that moms have had. I have taken the work in counseling that I've done as a lactation consultant, childbirth educator, and birth doula, and put together packages so that I can help you virtually, just as I have with moms locally. There are so many decisions to be made during your pregnancy. With some moms, it starts off with choosing a care provider. Should it be a doctor? Male, female, a midwife, a naturopath physician? Moms have questions about where to give birth. The hospital? They like to learn about birthing centers. What is that? There's a birthing center you can use that's in a hospital. There are freestanding birthing centers. What about a home birth? And what kind of birth should you strive for? What childbirth classes best suit you? What about doulas, birth doulas, and postpartum doulas? How can you best prepare for your maternity leave? How do you know what the best products to purchase are for you? You are all different and each with individual needs. My goal is to treat each mother as an individual and help you go from confusion to clarity as you go about making some very important decisions during your pregnancy for your birth and postpartum care. I have more detailed information for which you can check out by going to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz to see what I've been up to. The second announcement, I am going to take another break from Wednesday's usual show on infant feeding and come back to it next week. The reason is I've had some great feedback on last week's show, which is great because this lets me know that I am speaking about topics that you are interested in. Because you found it so interesting and you told me that you could really relate to the topic, I thought it would be great for me to fill you in on two of my consults that I had last week. I followed up with both Lisa and Ellen, and I would like to tell you how the holidays were for them. I mentioned them very briefly in last week's show. You will remember that Lisa had an 8-day-old baby and Ellen had a 5-week-old baby. Lisa knew that she could not make Thanksgiving dinner, and she was actually okay with that. It turns out that she has never made a full Thanksgiving dinner. However, she really did want to come through with her famous brownies. She knows family members really look forward to her brownies, and she usually makes much more than can feed everyone because they take care packages home so they can enjoy them on other days when they are not so overly full from their Thanksgiving meal. It was Lisa's first baby, and she gave birth about 2 weeks past her due date. She was upset that she did not have the birth that she desired, as she had planned on an unmedicated birth. At some point, and for various reasons, it was decided that labor should be induced with a drug called Pitocin. This brought on pretty heavy-duty and unnatural contractions. Lisa found the pain very difficult to manage, so she was fine when the nurse suggested an epidural to handle the pain. Lisa's labor from induction to birth lasted 26 hours. Her baby was born vaginally with no health concerns for the baby or mom. She experienced a very lovely rooming-in period for the 2 days she was in the hospital. Lisa had help with lactation in the hospital and left the hospital feeling pretty confident with breastfeeding. She had also taken a breastfeeding class with me. Her husband was not able to attend the class, and she decided to schedule a consult with me because she wanted to be sure all was going well, and she now had a whole list of questions for me. She also felt that it would be helpful for her husband too, because he kept questioning whether or not their baby had enough to eat, and he was a bit pushy about giving formula. He kept saying, just to top the baby off, just to be sure she was getting enough. He also felt that the baby was feeding so often, and to him, this meant that their baby definitely was not getting enough. When I came to see her, I walked into a calm household and with a baby that looked great. The weight check showed me that her baby was gaining well, output was normal, and Lisa seemed to be quite relaxed for a first-time mother. Believe me, I was grateful to see this. It's just that it's not the norm. I was happy to answer all of Lisa's questions, which she found very beneficial. Like she said, you can learn all you want ahead of time, but when you have your baby in your arms, it's a totally different story. I was also very excited to be able to share some wisdom with her husband and talk to him about normal newborn breastfeeding behavior, how tiny their stomachs were, and the reason they needed frequent feedings, and how fast it went through their system, how much they can take at one setting, and what happens to mom's supply when you get into the habit of topping a baby off. I verbally talked to him through all the signs that he could start to know that his baby was getting enough. I could tell this made a huge difference to him as he now had a checklist to refer to. I really like checklists as I find this really helps some people to just check things off and like they could visually see it. They could see the difference they're making. The amount of feedings, check. The amount of output, check. Hunger cues before feeding, yes. And milk coma appearance when the baby's done feeding, check. Amount of output, full breast before feeding, softer when done, check, check. This checking off helps give you a picture of what is happening. And when you see all the checks in the column that tell you breastfeeding is going well, this helps to ease the minds of moms and many partners, and her husband was no different, and grandparents too. I talk to him, as I do about other partners, about spending time with their babies skin to skin, because sometimes I could tell, or they even verbalize, that they feel they're not getting the same time with baby as mom is. So I tell them once the baby's done eating, just take their shirts off, take the baby's outfit off, and tuck your baby in, chest to chest. Wrap a warm blanket around both of you. Talk, sing, hum, read the daily news to your baby. This gives them a way of connecting and beginning to learn about their babies too. It's a wonderful way for them to spend time. About the brownie making, Lisa was doing well, but she was pretty darn tired. My suggestions to her, because she really wanted to make those brownies. So I said, let's think about this. Can you send someone else to the store and have them buy all the ingredients? And she said, yeah, I guess I can. So I said, have a trusted person buy all the ingredients. Then have that same person or another one take all the ingredients and measure them out for her ahead of time. So flour in one bowl, salt in another, liquid in another, eggs in another bowl. And make sure her baby had a good feeding before she started to assemble and mix the ingredients. So the deal was, If the baby needed a diaper change or was fussy, someone had to be there to take over care of the baby for the time she needed to put the brownies together. Once in the oven, she could be with baby again. When brownies were done, someone else needed to be there to take over while she checked and made sure they were done, waiting for them to cool and cut them up. So, she was going to make the brownies, but someone else was going to do the shopping for her, putting together all the ingredients and the cleanup for her. And that for Lisa was good enough because she still felt like as long as she was putting the ingredients together, she was making the brownies. Someone else, like I said, had to clean up, and I meant everything from bowls and mixing stuff to the countertops. She was to direct someone else to where they could take out the containers that she was going to put the brownies in, and when they cooled down, she would take care of this part. Lisa and her husband agreed to this, and her mom said she would come over and help with setup and cleanup, and husband would shop for ingredients. That was the plan. I checked in with Lisa on Monday after Thanksgiving. She said the brownies came out great and everyone was happy, and she felt quite accomplished and happy she did make them. I asked her if it tired her out and she wished she did not make them. She told me that she was tired, but not so much that she pushed herself over the edge. She had done that the first few days home, and that overexhaustion led to her being very weepy and very overtired. She said that this would probably have happened if she did not have help throughout the breaking process for the other parts that did not seem like such a big deal. But she can now see that they were a big deal postpartum and how easily she fatigued. Breastfeeding was going fairly easy, and her husband was gaining confidence that his baby was being well fed, and he was able to check off those lists. And he stopped suggesting topping the baby off with formula. I was so glad all this worked out well for her. Now we can talk about Ellen, who I met when her baby was 5 weeks old. She was suffering from low milk supply. Her baby was happy to go to the breast. Breastfeeding was enjoyable. It did not hurt her. Her big problem was that she just wasn't making enough. When I visited with her, she had a whole story of all that had transpired in the weeks before I came to see her. Ellen went through a period of exclusively breastfeeding to switching to all pumping and bottle feeding. She reached her goal of making enough for her baby, but when she went back to breastfeeding, it was hurting so much that she began to use a nipple shield. This seemed to work so well that she stopped pumping, stopped bottle feeding, and went straight to all breastfeeding with a nipple shield in place, and this seemed to be fine for her. By the time I came to see her, though, she had begun supplementing with formula because her baby did not seem to be getting full from breastfeeding anymore. I worked diligently with Ellen, and based on all that I had observed, the position and latch at breast was adjusted so that without the use of the nipple shield, her pain was reduced to soreness, which she felt was doable. I expected good position and latch to resolve several issues. Her feelings of poor posture, making her neck and arms sore, her baby able to get better milk transfer, therefore boosting her supply, and doing away with the shield. I suspect her baby's poor latch with the shield was causing her supply to drop. It wasn't hurting her anymore, her baby was latching on, but just not getting really good transfer with the shield. I also suggest she do some pumping to help boost her supply, because when she started using the nipple shield and her pain went down and her baby was getting enough, she stopped pumping. But that may have also contributed to her supply dropping. With all the work that Ellen had to do, I was very upfront and told her that she would probably have to choose between working on the care plan I suggested or making her Thanksgiving feast like she told me she was planning on doing. I know she was not happy with me, and at this point, with everything I said, I could tell the mood shifted. She was feeling differently, and she kept shaking her head, nodding up and down, and saying, yes, yes, I hear what you're saying. We were alone, so it was hard for me to get feedback from any other family member. They could not hear what I was saying, and I could not see their reaction. It was hard for me to know if this was pressure Ellen was putting on herself to make dinner, pressure she felt from others, or major pressure someone was putting on her. I used my words carefully, spoke as kindly as I possibly could, while maintaining a certain degree of firmness when I said that if she paid attention to the plan and was able to focus and follow through, this may very well save her breastfeeding, and in a week or so, she could be exclusively breastfeeding, avoid the formula that she did not want to give, and stop pumping and bottle feeding, which she hated doing also. I said that if she was going to put in all the energy that it would take to shop and cook for her dinner and clean her house and make it ready for the holiday, there's no way she could keep up with it all, and something would have to give. I was empathetic, as I know what it feels like to want to do it all, to be there for everyone, to keep your life clicking along just as it had been before the baby was born, to prove that you could do this. I tried to do that myself many times, and most of the time I failed at not just one thing, but both things or all things that I was trying to keep up with. Not happy with anything that I was trying to accomplish, and not happy with myself. I really wanted Ellen to be successful with breastfeeding, and I knew that concentrating on position and latch and boosting her supply and breastfeeding much more comfortably would be the key to her success. And I worried that if she did not take the time to slow down and prioritize, this would be very difficult to accomplish. I knew that Thanksgiving dinner would be eaten, people would say she did a great job, they would all go home, and she will be left with a baby that was more interested in bottles and struggling to keep up with her supply. Well, Ellen emailed me on Saturday after Thanksgiving. She told me that she was so tired and so exhausted. Yes, she had cooked the dinner. She actually did not finish all the dishes she wanted to, but she did cook 3 of the dishes, the turkey and 2 side dishes. She didn't want to ask anyone else to cook, so she placed a last-minute order for 2 other dishes and bought store-bought pies for dessert. She said she was quite stressed out, and her baby had lots of bottles, and she didn't pump as much as she should have. Her self-care plan, she told me, was to rest up on Saturday and Sunday, stay home and just breastfeed, and on Monday start pumping. I thought this was a good plan. I spoke to her on Tuesday morning, and she says that her baby has been going to the breast consistently, not fighting her, and her pain is down. But she recognizes her supply is also something that's still difficult, and she's needing to supplement about 1 ounce for every feeding. I told her that, given everything that had gone on, that she was actually doing quite well. She was close to a full supply, making 1 ounce less, and that she should just keep up with the plan. I imagine by doing this, she will be exclusively breastfeeding in a week or so. Did she follow exactly what I had urged her to do? Nope. But this was okay. You know what? It's her body, her baby, and she gets to make those decisions. My urging really comes from experience on the job. I've learned that when moms get too exhausted, they just burn out. And it's common that when a mom hits that wall, sometimes they literally just totally stop everything. And I don't blame them at all, not at all. It is just that I know how this works, and I try my best to prevent this from happening. Because moms, they frequently tell me their hopes and dreams and strong desire to breastfeed, and I desperately want them to meet their goals. These are not my goals, they are the mother's goals. For Ellen, I have a feeling it's all going to work out. For this, I am very happy. I share these stories with you as the situations are quite common. And I know you. I'm speaking to you. Yes, you. This is a very busy time of year, and I know you want to do it all. I know part of you has convinced yourself you can do it all. Some of you might, but most of you just won't be able to do it all and be happy. It's just too tiring, too exhausting. Can you do me a favor? Can you make a list of all the things you need to accomplish that is holiday related? Write down all the things on a pad, all the little things and all the big things that you are going to need to do to make this holiday work for you. And now don't say you don't have 30 minutes to sit down and write it all out. If you don't have time to do that, how are you possibly going to find the time to execute all you have to do? So take the time to write it all down. Once you've written it all down, give a pretty fair estimate of how long you think each task is going to take you. You know, how long food shopping is going to take you, putting away all the food, all the extra cooking, getting your house ready, everything. Now I want you to think about this. With a new baby, you are already working at least 12 to 14 hours each day between feeding and diapering and bathing and soothing a baby. Be realistic. Where are you going to find time to do all the tasks that you have just listed? Is it realistic to think that you can do this? What are some of the things that you think you can give up doing altogether? What can you just wipe off that list? Go ahead and do it. What can you delegate to someone else and feel pretty comfortable that they'll do a decent job? Delegate it. Ask yourself, what will happen if such and such does not get done? Can you live with this year? I just want you to recognize that it's okay for things to be different this year. It is okay to not do all the things you normally do each holiday season. Please take a good look at your workload and think of prioritizing you and your baby. When you look back on this time, I can tell you what almost every mother has told me in hindsight. They've said, I did too much. I wish I would have just laid low, not done too much, and spent more time with my baby. They realize that they push themselves too hard and have regrets about this. Please, no regrets. Put mom and baby first. Put you and your baby first, and I am sure you will be very glad that you did. Next week, we will return with our historical show and continue talking about infant feeding practices. Until next week, bye-bye. Have you heard that Phoenix, Arizona is blessed with an amazing birthing center? Baby Moon Inn Birth Center is the best option for families who want access to midwifery care in and out of a hospital setting. You can experience birth in a comfortable home-like setting where natural birth is the focus. Laboring in water, being able to walk outside during labor, and enjoy the beautiful garden. This is what birth can be like for you. There is so much more to learn about Baby Moon. The staff would love to have the opportunity to meet you and would like to extend an invitation for you to attend a free Choices in Childbirth class and a tour of the birth center. All you need to do is call 602-314-7755. That's 602-314-7755 and ask for the tour dates. You can also go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/podcast. And on the right-hand side of the page, you will see a link that will bring you to the calendar, and you can sign up for the tour yourself. When you come in for the tour, make sure that you tell them you found out about it from the All About Breastfeeding podcast, and you will be given a very lovely free gift.